Hello, friends and fellow adventurers, and welcome to my very first devlog, or development log, for the Looming Tower. Let's call this one DevLog 0, because I'm going to be talking about expectations, and episode 1 of the audio hasn't been released yet, so let's keep these things all lined up, yeah? Today I'm going to be talking about, like I said, expectations. We're going to be discussing what type of release schedule the Looming Tower is going to have, both for the PDFs, maps, Foundry, and everything that goes along with it. I want to talk a little bit more about the Looming Tower itself, what is Portal Fantasy, as well as kind of dig into some of my inspiration for the whole thing. Then I'm going to kind of wrap it all up with a roadmap as I see it, how I expect these things to roll out, and what my plan is from beginning to end. So anyways, let's get right into it. The first thing we want to talk about is just kind of the changes, the Patreon changes. We haven't removed anything from any of the tiers. We've only added things to each tier. So, well, let's first talk about the Looming Tower actual play, the audio releases. Those from the first episode to the last episode are going to be publicly available on the Patreon for free. You probably want to join as a free member just so you can get the alerts for when everything comes out, but they are available just to the public and anybody can listen to it, and that's the way it'll be. So what do you get with the paid tiers? The first one is the $2 tier, which is our entry-level tier. In addition to what you currently get, you will now be able to participate in any sort of polls or submission or audience participation that we do for the Looming Tower. That starts off pretty simple as we begin the adventure. Mostly the first couple of episodes is probably going to be voting for who gets that session's hero point, but it's going to expand out to include things like treasure, curses, even in some cases, reputation factions or rival NPCs, those sorts of things. We're going to have a lot of audience participation built into this one, and a lot of it doesn't really get opened up until around level 3 or 4 of the adventure. So I'm looking forward to that. You're going to get access to all that audience participation at that tier. You'll also be able to access all of these development logs as they come out. This first one is going to be just free because it's my expectations devlog, and I'm not giving away anything by having the conversation with you guys. But yeah, going forward, that's what you'll see at the $2 tier. Give you a better idea of what the devlogs will look like more readily in the future. It won't necessarily be just me talking to you at a camera like this for this devlog. I'm going to be, talking about what happened in the episode after it released, the development of what happened, or, in the back end, or I should say on the back end when it comes to like the encounter math or DCs to pass, tactics of enemies and that sort of thing. We'll talk about all those nitty gritty crunchy things. And let's see. Yeah, so that's what you'll get at that $2 tier. I kind of lost there for a second. Now at the $5 tier, where you'll have access to everything that I just mentioned, as well as the PDF releases for the Looming Tower, chapter by chapter, as we finish them or wrap it up in the audio actual play releases. So what I mean by that is, say, for the first couple of episodes, they'll be going through a chapter 0, where they'll be playing level 0 characters. And once they complete that chapter in the audio, I will release it in a PDF format at that point on the Patreon. So you'll get access to that. And that includes maps and any visuals that I've included as well. If you want to get an idea of what that's going to look like, I have posted the player's guide for the Looming Tower. It's available for free on the Patreon. That's the formatting I'm going to hold with for my rough draft for everything. We'll talk about how everything's going to clean up with art later on when I discuss the roadmap part later on in the video. But for now, access to all PDF releases and maps that happen within each of those chapters that are released. Finally, at the $10 a month level, you'll get everything that I've discussed already, as well as the Foundry modules again as we complete the chapters. So when we release the PDFs, we'll release at the same time that the Foundry modules will come out. Now, all of this is going to be the releases for during phase 1. This will be the first phase of the Looming Tower releases, are going to be my final roughs. They're going to be what you hear in the audio, and after any tweaks that I make because of what happens in the audio. This is very, in a very real way, the audio will be the first playtest of this adventure. So I probably make some adjustments if it's needed. I'll be discussing them in the devlog if that occurs, which you'll have access to if you get to the PDFs. So that's going to work out just fine. So that's it. That's the Patreon updates. That's how you can get the Looming Tower content as it releases. So let's talk a little bit about the Looming Tower itself. And Portal Fantasy. I've said the word Portal Fantasy a few times, and I think in the announcement video, online, it's in the player's guide, but what exactly is Portal Fantasy? Portal Fantasy is a story, a literary device, where your protagonist or main characters are taken from their world, which is in most instances a mundane world. They go through a portal of some type and end up in a fantastical, magical, and often dangerous world. Some examples of Portal Fantasy that are classics: you've got like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The wardrobe is your portal in that instance. And the Chronicles of Narnia, of course, in follow-up to that. Then you've got Alice in Wonderland is another very classic Portal Fantasy adventure, where the portal is the hole that Alice follows the rabbit or the hare into. Then you've got some more modern day examples, even as little as like in the early 2000s, Digimon. Digimon is a Portal Fantasy adventure where kids go through a magical portal, little digi devices, to go into a digital world. And even similar, which is, an anime like Sword Art Online, very popular, probably arguably kicked off the isekai trend that's happening in anime right now. Isekai just means different world or another world. And is a subgenre of Portal Fantasy. It is Portal Fantasy most of the time. Portal can range from, a truck that hits somebody and reincarnation is the portal, or, whatever the case is, or putting on a headset to go into a VR world. That's the type of story that Portal Fantasy is, and it's very popular. It has been for a long time, and it's kind of surging again in popularity now, and I thought it would be fun to tell that type of story. So I take a lot of inspiration from those, and I also take a lot from another kind of subgenre in Portal Fantasy. Really, it's called literary RPG or lit RPG. You can find it online. Probably the most prominent one right now is called Dungeon Crawler Carl. A lot of them are Portal Fantasy books, and Dungeon Crawler Carl is no exception, but there's others too. I could think of a lot, but we won't go into it. That's what it is. So that's where the inspiration came from. I enjoy those types of stories. So when it was my decision to do that, my first thought was, and I've said it a few times, that the Looming Tower is a sentient demi-plane that pulls the heroes into it to pit them on a challenge, almost like a game show, like Running Man style challenge. And originally, I was going to do a floor. Each floor of the tower was going to represent a single level of Pathfinder play, and every level was going to be unique. And I was even going to create like a rollable table where every floor of the tower you could roll randomly for an encounter string or a scenario almost. It turned out at its conception for that more of an encounter portfolio than an actual adventure path. So I ended up pivoting on that. Aside from the fact that it's absolutely nutty to write, that would have been over 100 scenarios that span a level for each. That's just too much for me, and it doesn't tell a good story. So we ditched it. Now we're at a 3-act adventure. where the first act encompasses the climb of the tower, and it's 10 floors. Each floor will be roughly 2 levels of Pathfinder play. And acts 2 and 3 still take place in and around the tower, but I'm not going to give you too much at this point. Just know that at the end of Act 1, which is level 0 to 10, the heroes will be at the top of the tower. And everything from there gets that's where the big reveal occurs and all of it. So yeah, that's where, rough structure of where, what it is. I'm not going to tell you anything about the story necessarily. You'll have to listen or read the releases as it occurs. But I'm very, very excited to share it with you. Okay, so let's talk about the roadmap a little bit. This is a really loosey-goosey roadmap, to be totally honest with you. I think of this happening in 4 phases, where phase 1 and 2 are foregone conclusions in my mind, and phases 3 and 4 are kind of like the dream phases. Let me explain. When I say foregone conclusion for phase 1 and 2, what I mean is I plan on writing, compiling, and releasing in some fashion an adventure path from level 0 to 20. I've always wanted to write an adventure path. I've always wanted to release one, and I am going to be doing it. So regardless of, Patreon support from you guys, whether it's there or it's not, it's something I plan on doing anyway. So anyways, that's what I mean by phase 1 and 2 are foregone conclusions. So phase 1 is the initial rollout. I discussed a little bit in the tier section of this a little bit ago, where I'll be releasing the PDFs as we complete them. So once the players, complete their level 0 journey, I'll release the level 0 chapter in PDF format, as well as on the Foundry and what have you. And what I don't know right now with this phase 1 and the initial rollout is how long that's going to take. How much time will be in between these PDF and Foundry releases, I can't say at the moment, to be frank. We will, as of now, be recording and releasing 2 episodes per month. Although if support increases, that could increase, if we get to the capital to be able to do maybe 4 releases in a month. I'm not putting that off the table, but that's not what I'm expecting at this exact moment. We're 2 months right now. That being said, how long is it going to take for us to release a 21 level adventure in that time? Who knows? It really depends on how long the guys take to go through it. But yeah, that's my phase 1, is rolling out the meat of it, which will be the maps, the encounters, the treasure, and, all of the text in between. When that's finished, then I go into the phase 2 portion of it. Phase 2 for me is going to be, once all of that, and like I said, the meat and potatoes of the whole adventure is put together and out there, and the final drafts, which is what those PDFs will be during phase 1, are my final drafts. Then we'll go through and clean it all up. Phase 2 will be probably hiring a page layout editor, an actual, content editor, commissioning art, putting together the budget and how much we have to spend at art. During phase 1, we'll be taking, all the Patreon contributions and putting it into our, commission fund for the PDFs. And really all of that is, how much we have available will depend on how much is in the account at that point. And as we go along, we'll do updates and all of that. But that's what phase 2 is going to be. Now, when I said phase 3 are kind of my hopes and dreams phase 3 I'm going to do regardless. That's the distribution. After everything's all cleaned up and it's all finished, it's distribution and marketing. I know for sure I will very likely be posting this obviously on the Patreon, potentially on Pathfinder Infinite or whatever distribution channels are around at that time. We'll look into it. I'm not a marketing guy myself, so I might hire somebody to do that if it's looking, if we have leftover funds. Otherwise, I don't know, take a class or something. The other thing with phase 3 is if, the reception is really good, we might take this over to Twitch, where I will put out like a casting call. And again, depending on how popular it is, what kind of reception it's been receiving throughout the initial actual play rollouts, we'll put out a casting call and, maybe we'll shoot for some bigger names. Otherwise, I've made some friends in the meantime. Hopefully one of them would be able to, or would live stream campaign with me. So anyways, that's potentially, again, hopes and dreams phase, no solid things, but that's when we're going to be distributing and marketing at the time. My phase 4 is who knows where it could go from there. If things go really well, would I love to have like a published volume to be able to put on my bookshelf and sell to people for, to say that, hey, I published this, or, what have you. That would be awesome. That's like, for me, that's peak. I'm not expecting it, but it would be cool if it happened, So yeah, hopes and dreams. So anyways, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Like I said, this isn't a really big devlog. We don't have crunchy nitty-gritty details to talk about, but expect those in the future. I'm really excited for the release. By the time this video comes out, the first episode will be days afterwards, maybe even 2 or 3 days after, less. I don't know. The May 18th is when you can expect that release. So look forward to it. If you have any questions about what I've kind of laid out in these expectations, please put it in the comments, whether on Patreon or on YouTube or in the Discord, wherever you'd like it. I want to make sure that I'm being a clear communicator about this. And if I'm not, just tell me. I'll do my best to clarify. But until next time, thank you. And we'll see you soon. Oh, and I almost forgot. I had mentioned in the announcement video that I was going to talk a little bit about the 800-pound dragon in the room, and here's me talking about it. A couple of years ago, when we were still in the throes of the pandemic, we were releasing our main show, and everything was going really, really well. We were getting support that we weren't expecting, and all of us, wanted to give you guys something more, give you some extra content. So we started a goal to begin a new show, and we did. We met the goal. You guys were great about that. We thank you so much for all the support that you give us. And we started releasing the Mithril Dragon Wagon as a result. And for reasons that are beyond my control, that I won't totally go into here, the Mithril Dragon Wagon just kind of fell off. It stopped recording. And I never made an official announcement about it because I always held out hope that we would be able to get it going again. But sometimes the things just don't work out that way. They didn't. So here's me saying it officially. Mithril Dragon Wagon is on an indefinite hiatus. I don't know if we'll ever get back to it. But I didn't want to stop releasing extra content that was within my control. So that's kind of why I started the idea for the whole the Looming Tower project to begin with. That was my desire to give you that extra content that I had always wanted to give you, and then make it be something within my control. So that's what we're doing. Sorry for not following up on the Mithril Dragon Wagon. I hope that sometime in the future that we can go back to it. But for right now, we can move on and do other things. So we're going to. So anyways, thank you so much. And as always, for your support and your time. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.